welcome to our weekly Facebook Live. I want to talk to you tonight about that whole concept of letting things percolate. When we want to come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things, and setting aside a time for that percolation versus procrastinating. And sometimes it can seem like it's a bit of a fine line. And I wanted to talk about the difference between the two, how you can tell them apart when you are percolating, letting things percolate, and when you are procrastinating, and how you can actually optimize percolating. I love the word, I love the sound of it, and I think it's a really great thing to do for inspirations and for listening to our intuition, both in our businesses and in our personal lives. So what do I mean exactly by percolating? So if I give you an example, that's probably the best thing that I can do. And the reason that I chose this as my topic for tonight is because it is something that I actually did this morning. And that is, I set my mind and set the intention to percolate. In this case, it was about how best to organize my content calendar. So I'm assuming that many of you in business are well familiar and probably are involved in doing regular content calendars or having some sort of structure, whether it's a table or in different files or whatever, around what is the content you're going to be working on in the next week or the next month or even beyond that. So I'm specifically, for me, in terms of my example, was talking about my social media content planning. So what I'd done last night, I actually got a burst of creativity, and I am absolutely loving working with Trello boards, and I'm sure I'm going to be doing more lives or videos around that a little bit further down the track. And it's really briefly, it's an electronic tool, program that it's basically project management. And it actually uses the boards that, or the structure that follows the Kanban philosophy. And you may have seen me or heard me talking about that in the past. So it's just a way to organize things that you need to do. So I thought, that's it. I'm going to actually formalize my social media content calendar or planning, and I'm going to use Trello for doing that. So as I said, I had this burst of creativity last night, and I set about structuring it in the way that made, or organizing it in the way that made sense to me last night. And I thought, yep, I've got that. I based it actually around the topics that I tend to talk about in terms of my niche being, of course, productivity, particularly using creative and spiritual approaches and non-traditional ways of becoming more productive in our business and in our lives more generally. And I went to bed and I thought, that's great. I'm going to continue to work on that tomorrow and I'll finalize that. That'll be it. But I woke up this morning and I went back to the boards and I thought, no, I'm not as happy with this structure this morning as I was last night. There's something that's not quite gelling for me. And I sat there and thought a little bit about it and thought, I could do this, whatever. And what I was coming up with at that moment really wasn't doing it for me, so to speak. So I actually thought to myself, right, this is the opportunity for me to let that percolate. And what I mean by that is I actually set the intention that I would receive the intuition, the inspiration in the next day or so for how to actually structure it in a way that's going to work best for me. So with that, I then finished looking at it and actually then went on to other things. And what that did was that actually created what we call an open loop. And what I mean by that is I didn't come up with the answer at that moment. And our brains don't like it when we don't have the answers. So what's happening, even as we speak right now, is that my subconscious mind is actually working through it, and I believe in tandem with the universe, to actually, hi Deepa, thanks for joining, to actually come up with what could be the solutions. And in the meantime, I've been doing, lots of other things today, and I really, since this morning, I haven't really thought much about it. But I know that as I said, my subconscious is working on it. The universe is supporting me in that process, and I trust that it will, thank you for the hearts, I trust that that will actually mean that I will come up with the answer. And it will happen in the next day or two. And that trust is just so, so important. Because what happens is, as I said, our subconscious is looking for solutions because it doesn't like the open loop. It wants to close the open loop. And it's almost like there's this whole computer program that's in our subconscious mind. It's doing all the work for us. I don't even have to consciously think about it right now, and I love that. And so it's a great way to actually let things go and know that our creativity will work, or the subconscious will use our creativity for solutions. Now, there are times when we can work something out consciously with our conscious mind at the time. But in this situation, I just couldn't come up with what I felt was the right solution. So it made perfect sense then for me, as I said, to consciously set the intention that the solutions, the best solutions would come to me, the ideas would come to me. And as I said, I'm quite happy with that. And I want to allow this time for percolating. So of course, that's the reference to coffee percolating, whereby it's becoming richer. It's becoming deeper, and it's much more enjoyable and flavoursome, if I think of the analogy of percolating coffee, rather than, let's say, instant coffee. And I think that it's something that we can use for several things, as I said, businesses or our lives, where we don't know exactly the right answer at the time, but we can give it to the universe, so to speak, and to our subconscious, and trust that the answers will come up. Now, some of the things that you can do to support this process, there's a couple of things you can do, is having a really lovely shower, for instance, or a bath. What you want to be doing is doing other things other than thinking about it. And things where we actually tend to, experiences or situations where we actually tend to daydream or almost go in a trance, and that's where it relates to the subconscious mind, can really help with us percolating these solutions. So an example can be, as I said, having a beautiful shower where the beautiful weather, hi Jojo, thanks for joining, the beautiful temperature, the warm water, actually really helps to relax and soothe us. And that means that we are in the best state, as they say, for our unconscious to actually be working on this. So, you could even have a shower or a bath, just relax. And that's the key to it, is relax and allow, in this case, the warm water to actually soothe you. And do you find that you're often daydreaming in the shower or bath, or it's a great place where ideas come to us? And there's actually been some work done, research work done on the fact that it does relax us. It sends us into a form of trance or a daydream, and that's often when we get great ideas. I have been told, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been told there's actually a note paper and pen that you can put in a plastic bag or something, and it's waterproof, that if ideas come to you in the shower, you can actually write them there and then. It's like, oh my goodness. Or another example I've found in the past is I'm doing the dishes. Again, the warm water and doing something that doesn't take a lot of concentration, and it allows me to go into trance, daydreaming, and I come up with really great ideas. And it's like, oh, got to dry the hands. I've got to capture that. And I really do hope that you do capture your ideas, whether it's writing them, whether it's recording them on your phone, whether it's electronic or paper. Please capture those ideas because they're gold. They are your inspirations, your intuition talking to you. So have you found that yourselves? That you're actually doing something and things have come up? Jojo, I tend to relax with my Reiki music and candles. Beautiful. Yes, I've got a candle here and I completely agree with you. It sends us into this trance. Another thing you can do is actually go for a walk, because again, often, you know, I find it's a great opportunity to be exploring different things as I'm walking, and you know, new ideas can come up for me in that way. I sing in the shower. Brilliant. Yes, I do sometimes. And yeah, it's actually something I could probably do more of. It just depends. And sometimes I'll have a, you know, bit of a dance and all the rest of it. And it's this whole idea of loosening up. And as I said, in the background, our unconscious is working out the right solutions. And as I said, with walking, it can really help with this process as well, where we're relaxed, we're perhaps looking, observing without deep concentration necessarily, but observing what we're seeing as we're walking. And again, our subconscious can be working in the background, doing its thing and wanting to close that loop and find that solution for us. Now, that's the idea with percolating. I absolutely love it. I encourage you to do it. But, and this is the but, when does percolating become procrastination? Because, for instance, going back to my example of me working on my content calendar, social media calendar, if I let it go too long, I would be wondering if it was actually starting to be a form of procrastination. And that might be because I feel overwhelmed with it. I might be feeling, why haven't I got the answers now? I should be by now. And it might be that I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be boring or it's going to be too complicated. There's lots of reasons for why we procrastinate. And you want to, I think the most important thing here is the level of awareness that you have. So what I described before with the percolating, I have had, and as I said, I'm percolating right now, and I have that awareness that that's what I am doing. I'm not procrastinating. But signs can occur where we're procrastinating, particularly if it's going on, this percolating is going on too long. So how long is the right time? I think it's individual. For me, I would say up to about 48 hours, probably more like within the first 24, like tomorrow, I would expect that after a good sleep that I'm, yes, awareness, thanks Jojo, that I'm actually having ideas come to me via the universe and my intuition and inspiration. So if it starts to be beyond a couple of days, I'd really start to question, okay, what's going on here? Particularly if you have set the intention, as I suggested, to allow the solution to come to you, for you to be percolating, I'd actually question, okay, what's going on here? Is this percolating not working? Am I thinking, yeah, it'll come to me. I'll just wait a bit longer. It'll come. And when we start to have a bit of tension about it, that's when I think that it's time to actually re-examine this percolation, if that's the right word, and work out whether, see if you can, with this level of awareness, is it that I'm just putting it off because of some of the reasons I mentioned you might have before around procrastination, or is it that I'm still percolating? And I think a big differentiator is how you feel in your body. I'm a really, really, really big proponent of actually sitting down, taking some deep breaths, relaxing into your body, and feeling into it. You can actually close your eyes and ask yourself the question, you know, is this what's happening here? Is this the universe that's still working on? And my subconscious still working on the problem, or working on a solution, more accurately? Or is it some level of me putting it off in the form of procrastination? And feeling into your body. You can actually do a bit of a body scan, and if you feel any tension, you can even talk to it. I'm really, really, really in favor of doing this. I just believe that our body has so much intelligence, so much wisdom, and senses what's really happening for us. So you can actually, once you're relaxed and in a quiet space, actually ask your parts of your body, what is going on here? And I think that will give you, if you actually, the more you do it, the better, the more easier it will come. Body scan, great, yeah. Have it something that you have tried, Jojo? If so, let me know how it's gone. And it's a practice. I'm not saying it's going to work straight away, but as I said, our body has the wisdom. When we are still, when we listen to it, when we do this regularly, it has the answers, and then you'll be better able to tell whether it is, as I said, your ideas percolating, or whether we're putting them off. And if tomorrow, by the end of, say, tomorrow, perhaps the beginning of the day after, if I still haven't felt that I've had some inspiration about this content calendar, I will actually make the time to sit down and do the body scan. The other thing that you can do is actually just do a brain dump writing. Oh, excellent. You body scan for Reiki. Oh, brilliant. Yes, exactly. I mean, this in a way is, yeah, a form of Reiki or related to it anyway. So the other thing you can do is actually, I'm also a big believer in free writing. So what I mean by that is literally getting your bit of paper and pen and just writing what comes up. And you can actually start it off by saying, am I still percolating, or is this procrastination? And just trust that this process of allowing yourself to explore what it is that is the truth for you at that moment, it can really, really guide you then to some answers. And of course, if you do feel the sense that it's procrastination, then you want to be seeing if you can identify what might be the reasons. Is it fear? So for me, it could be, well, I don't want to finish my content planner because I'm a bit scared about being on social media more. Or it might be, as I said before, I feel it's too complicated. It might seem like it's a bit boring. I want to be spontaneous with the way, with how, what topics I do with whether it's Facebook Lives or other types of social media. Really, again, sitting still. Trust the process, exactly. Sitting still, having the quiet time, making the time, prioritizing the time to listen to your body, to your inner wisdom. And then also, as I said, free writing can be a way to explore and identify what the issues are. Once you have that clarity, if it is procrastination and you have a better sense of why that might be, then you are in a better place to actually find what might be the next step to actually get over that. Quite often we think that we want to have the whole answer, have it all mapped up and mapped out in front of us. But often when there's procrastination, that seems like a huge, great big boulder. I have this image of this huge boulder in front of me, and there's little me trying to push this big boulder. It doesn't have to be like that. Sometimes breaking it down, just knowing the next little step can actually bypass the fear and allow us to have some sort of action, because that's what we need to overcome procrastination, is actually doing something towards what it is that we're wanting to get done or to achieve. So just then to finish getting back to the idea of the percolation, of course, what happens then when we have our intuition, our inspiration with new ideas, in my example, a new structure of how to do my social media content calendar, then we've closed the loop because our subconscious, with the universe's help, has been working on it. And it's like, oh, I could try this. And it may not be the exact answer. It may not be the one you end up with, but it's the next step. It's the, a lot of our greatest ideas are built on little ideas, so to speak, that have actually come before it. It may be that it's in one big way, but it doesn't have to be. Jojo, thank you. Last week I realized that I had set my priorities according to where they lay on my stress level. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that that's not a good thing? Is that, I'm wondering, in relation to your stress level? I mean, it can be helpful to relieve the stress because we obviously don't function well if we're really stressed. And of course, it depends on the exact situation and why you're stressed. But sometimes it can help to work on the thing that is stressing you the most so that you reduce the stress, and then you're actually you have more capacity to work on the other stuff. Having said that, I'm not sure whether those things or that thing that caused you the stress is the thing that was your highest priority, that has the greatest value if you were to get it done, versus what it was that was stressing you. It depends on the situation. But quite often, if we're really stressed, we can't focus. And that then it becomes, if you're wanting to actually get done what it was that you planned to do, sometimes if it's something else that stresses us, we actually can't do anything about it. It becomes so big we can't do the thing that we prioritize. We have to attend to that. Yes, that's it. Yeah. And the thing that comes to my mind with that is, of course, ideally, we don't want to be stressed. In the ideal world, we wouldn't be stressed. But I don't know anyone who never gets stressed. And I believe that when we have pain, when we have discomfort, hi Tricia, thanks for joining. When we have stress, it's an indication that there's something that needs attention. It might be some sort of imbalance or something. And it's sending us a message. It's trying to tell us something. As I said, whether it's pain in our bodies, whether it's stress, which in a way can be a pain, inverted commas, and as I said, an indicator that things aren't completely right, and that we need to listen to it. Now, that doesn't mean that we spend a whole entire day doing it, and then it means that we don't get our higher priorities or what we plan to do done. But if it's actually taking you away from what it was you had planned, then it probably does need some attention. Yeah. So that's the whole idea of percolation, allowing the universe to work in the background with our subconscious to come up with solutions while we are actually allowing that process with our conscious mind. In fact, we're encouraging it by setting the intention, by allowing the process, helping it with things like a beautiful shower, warm water, bath, as I said, doing the dishes. It can be watering the garden, and it doesn't have to be water. As I said, it can be walking. It can be doing a whole lot of other things that send you into a bit of a trance and a daydream, because that's when our mind is most open and receptive to the best ideas. So knowing that that's percolating versus procrastination, where there's that feeling of tension, it's just not a good feeling in our body. And then if we're starting to feel that, to explore, as I said, with body scanning, with that stillness, and with free writing, if we want to be doing that. And I call it free writing because you're writing whatever comes to you. Don't worry about the spelling, grammar, the structure, none of that. It is literally just allowing yourself to write, and it's actually our own essence, so to speak, that is coming out when we do that. So I'm a huge believer of it, and we'll talk about that in more videos to come. So I will leave it there. all the best with your percolating of your ideas. And if you need any help with that further, or with procrastination, because that can be a real problem for a lot of people, and can actually be a reason that we don't live as full a life as we actually deserve to and that we want. And so I'm happy to talk with you offline, so to speak, about ways improving that.